To the Mind Muscle Spirit YouTube channel. My name is Judy Wright Morris. I'm a personal trainer and a WBFF pro figure competitor, and I have also been vegan for a little over 2 years. So I wanted to make a quick video for people who might be interested in starting a vegan or a plant-based diet, and maybe they've been influenced or inspired by a movie like the Game Changers movie and are existing figure or bikini competitors, or are thinking about entering a physique show of some kind and are wondering if switching to a plant-based diet will affect their ability to progress in that sport. I've been involved in figure competing for a little over 10 years, and for most of that time I was eating a heavily meat-based diet. Most of my meals, 6 meals a day, contained an animal product of some kind, whether it was eggs, meat, red meat, chicken, or whey protein in between meals. Before I switched to a vegan diet, I did switch to a plant-based protein powder because I don't really like dairy. I've never really liked dairy that much, and it made more sense to me to use a protein powder that was made from real food. So my reasons for going vegan were largely influenced by environmental factors, and researching on that topic led me to discover more about the ethical issues. And when I tried it for myself, I experienced a lot of positive health benefits. I did want to continue competing, not that many shows, maybe 1 or 2 more, and so I began researching about whether or not it was possible to build and maintain muscle and compete on a vegan diet. Now, there are not that many vegan bodybuilders or figure competitors, however it is slowly increasing, but there are enough people out there for me to get a lot of information from, such as John Venus, Naturally Stephanie, Brian Turner, and there are a few books out there on vegan bodybuilding. So if you are thinking of switching to a vegan or plant-based diet, there are a few questions you might want to ask yourself that I ask myself, and I'm going to go over 5 of those questions. So those questions are: number 1, if I go to a vegan or plant-based diet, will I lose all of my gains? Second question is, what will I eat? Third question, and the most common, is where will I get my protein? Fourth question, is it possible to do an effective contest prep on a vegan diet? And the fifth and final question is a plant-based contest prep diet less effective than a meat-based contest prep diet? So let's get into question 1. So question 1, will I lose all my gain? There's no reason why you should lose any of your gains unless you fail to consume adequate protein. And this is true of a vegan, plant-based diet, or even a meat-based diet. When I was coaching people before I switched to a vegan diet, a lot of my clients weren't even consuming enough protein on a meat-based diet to increase their muscle mass and get lean. So this is an issue regardless of what type of diet you're following, is you need to get adequate protein. Now, on a plant-based diet, it does appear that the requirement for protein in terms of grams is actually a bit less than on a meat-based diet, or maybe the recommended amount, which is about 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight, maybe that's too high. On a vegan diet, a lot of people who are involved in vegan bodybuilding are consuming a lot less protein and about the same or more calories total. So when you eat meat, the protein from meat, when it's in your digestive system, it takes a lot longer to release the protein into the bloodstream. This is one of the reasons why it was considered an advantage, in that it would release a steady amount of protein over time. However, when you consume plant-based protein, it seems to go into the bloodstream much quicker. So actually there are studies out there that say vegans have much higher blood circulating levels of protein than meat eaters, and if the plant-based protein gets into the bloodstream a lot quicker, then that would make sense as to why that could be. So there's absolutely no reason why on a plant-based diet you should lose any of your gains. In my personal experience, it's actually a lot easier, and one of the reasons for this is that a plant-based diet, if you're looking to build muscle, is a lot higher in carbohydrates than a meat-based diet, so you can replace a lot of those calories that come from animal fat, which is kind of useless, with carbohydrates, which means you have more strength, more energy, you can lift heavier, train harder, and actually get more results. On a plant-based or vegan diet, you do not need to consume high amounts of soy products. In fact, you can do it without consuming soy at all. And one thing I must ask is that please don't replace your animal sources of protein with mock meats or processed vegan products. Those are great for treats at the weekends if you're craving meat or animal products, but don't use them on a daily basis. A Beyond Burger or an Impossible Burger is not the equivalent of eating a lean piece of steak. It's more comparable to a hamburger, which is essentially junk food and not something you consume every day. Excuse me if it gets a bit noisy, but I'm determined to get this video out, so I'm going to do it anyway. So the second question you might ask yourself is, what are you going to eat? Well, the answer is you just eat everything you were eating before minus the animal food. So plenty of things like brown rice, sweet potatoes, broccoli, all kinds of fruit and vegetables. And you'll be surprised by the amount of protein that is in things like oatmeal, broccoli, and a whole host of plant foods like pumpkin seeds. Don't forget nuts and seeds. And you can get there's a lot of protein in some of these foods that you didn't realize were. So one of my favorite meals is like an oatmeal with hemp hearts, pumpkin seeds, nut butter in there, chia seeds as well is a great source of protein. So there's a lot of protein packed into plant foods that you wouldn't have thought about. So it's a great way to actually get a more varied diet than you were before. Yes. Also, use a good plant-based protein like you were when you're on a meat-based diet, but you don't need to take extra protein shakes a day. 1 to 2 a day is about right, which is what meat eaters use anyway. And one of the biggest concerns for anyone who knows someone switching to a vegan or plant-based diet, or even hears about someone switching to a vegan or plant-based diet, is where will everyone get their protein? Where will I get my protein? Where will you get your protein? It's really nothing to worry about. There's a lot of protein in whole foods, the surprising amount of protein in things like oatmeal, brown rice, and of course you've got the higher protein sources, things like lentils, nuts and seeds. You've got lentils here, hemp hearts, you've got chia seeds, you've got, as mentioned before, we've got great sources of plant-based protein powder, and even things like this, edamame pasta. You can eat whole edamames, of course, but if you get bored of eating those things, there's a great array of things like this that you can spice up your diet with. Like I said, it's good to minimize the processed foods, but they're there if you want to spice things up a little and not get bored and have some variety. So I switched to a vegan diet when I was 6 months pregnant, and I had a great pregnancy when I switched. I had a lot more energy, I felt lighter, and then after I had my son, I actually trained for a competition 9 months after. It was WBFF Worlds in Las Vegas at the Bellagio, and I had a great prep. It was my first time doing a vegan prep, and I found it easy. The higher carbohydrate content in favor of reduced fat actually made it a lot easier. I didn't have that exhausted feeling that I used to get when I used to cut the carbs really low and have a high protein diet. So I found it honestly, I found it a lot better. So the final question is a vegan or plant-based contest prep harder than a meat-based one? In my experience, I don't think it is. I think, like I said before, the higher carbohydrate content of a whole food plant-based diet makes it a lot more easier. You just got to reduce the fats. It's going to be a little bit lower count of protein, but the higher carbohydrate content and the abundance of a variety of different foods is going to give you a lot more energy, and I think more strength, more power, more energy to train, and fuller muscles as well. Not only have I done a contest prep vegan, I also coached a lady called Shelley who was absolutely amazing looking for her competitions, and she actually placed first twice and then was invited back to the federation. It was a national organization called the WNBF, and she was such a star, such a legend, that she was invited back to do a guest posing, and I coached her for that. And we didn't use any soy. Soy did not actually agree with her, so we didn't use it at all. And one of the things I would advise you to do, if you're thinking of switching to a plant-based or vegan style contest prep, it's really important to get a coach who is experienced with the vegan diet and is perhaps a vegan themselves. The traditional contest prep coach is very likely to just try and replicate the macros used for a meat diet to a vegan diet, and it actually changes the macros, and it's good to have a coach who has a good understanding of that in order to get the best results. So to wrap it up, yes, you can still get great results as a vegan figure competitor or bikini competitor, and even if you have got a toddler running around in the background, you can still achieve your goals even if the sun's going down and the lights go off. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to hear more content and click that notification bell so you can be updated when more content goes up on this channel. I have to go and give my undivided attention to my toddler and cook him dinner and all that. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.